All right, so we're going to call this Stories from the Woods Volume 1. All right, now this is a bit of a longer one, but it's funny. It's not a bitch. It's not a rant. It's actually very hilarious, so stick with me, okay? About 11 o'clock, midnight last night. Hard to tell because of the time change. The wife and I are laying in bed, and we hear half a dozen or so gunshots go off in rapid succession really close to our property. So I do what I do. I go outside, I conduct some spontaneous target shooting with my own, and send about 5 to 8 times as many return volleys back, acoustically, of course, to let them know, hey, we're here if you want to fuck around and find out. So then I hop on the sled, go check around the property and stuff like that, check the south end, check the north side, get to the north gate. There's very clear truck tracks leading up the way. So I follow them, I get up, and I see a truck stuck on top of the hill. Come up on it. I have a shotgun over my shoulder because there's bears and stuff like that out, and, you know, let's be honest here, situation at hand, yeah, I'm going to take a little bit extra precaution. So I come up on the truck, sit there for a minute, looking at it, just making sure, you know, watching the situation, seeing what's going on. Nothing going on, or nothing suspicious, I should say. Turn off the sled, start taking a look around. There's a set of tracks. I follow the tracks about 30 feet from the truck. I find a fella laid out. This is a log. He is laid out in the snow. Like, this log is this big. He's sprawled out over it in the, like, kind of no snowy little drift thing that has formed. And I come up on him, I'm like, you stuck? He's like, yeah, man. He goes, you scared the hell out of me. We proceed to talk a little bit more. I was referring to his truck. He was physically stuck in the snow. Come to find out, guy had been drinking. When I went to help him up, very, very obvious. And so I sit there and I'm like, you been drinking? He's like, oh, no. I'm like, dude, I'm not a cop. I'm like, don't fuck with me. Like, just, you been drinking? He's like, yeah, I had a few. I'm like, all right. Around that time, I recognize the guy. He's a local. He's a neighbor of ours. And I've had like 2 previous interactions with this fellow. The first one I thought was pleasant. The second one, he revealed the first one was not pleasant. And then the second one, he almost hit me with his truck. Proceeds to threaten to grab a couple of his buddies, come back and tool me up, and then also says he's going to call the DNR for all the illegal dumping that I've been conducting on the state land immediately adjacent. Anyway, I remind this fellow of all this. About this time, I shine the light at myself. I go, I recognize you. I go, do you recognize me? Around that time, his demeanor changed a lot. He goes, yeah, man, I do. And I was like, we've met twice before. He's like, yeah, man, we have. I'm like, it wasn't a very pleasant interaction. Now, I'm paraphrasing a lot because I spent like 5 minutes yelling at this guy. It was the most cathartic thing I've had in a while. I got a lot of shit out of this guy. So I'm paraphrasing and I'm saying it a lot nicer than I did to this guy. But basically, you know, I reminded him of our 2 previous interactions. And then I go, hey, guess what? I go, I could call the cops so easily right now and let them know that there is a truck just stranded out here on the back trails, and then the cop would come out and find your ass, put 2 and 2 together, and you'd go to jail for DUI, don't you think? He's like, yeah, man, yeah. And I'm like, all right. I go, so this is what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to call the cops because I don't give a shit. I said, not only that, I said, all things considered, everything that you freaking said to me and all the bullshit that we've had, not only am I not going to call the cops, I said, if your ass is still stuck tomorrow morning, I said, you know where I live. I go, you can come down my trail. I said, you better announce yourself because my German Shepherds are going to tear your ass up. I said, you come down my trail, you come knock on my door. I said, I will help you get your truck unstuck in the morning if you're still here. And then I parted about my way. During this, I mentioned the gunshots that I'd heard originally, and he was like, yeah, man, no, that wasn't me. I don't know what it was, blah, 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 blah. But a few things kind of clicked later on this morning, and so I went back to go look. And, yeah, what had happened was this fella drove into our little intersection of our driveway, where the state land goes one way, state land trail goes one way, and our driveway goes the other. Kind of pulled into there, let loose a whole bunch of 9mm rounds, peeled out in his truck, shot off up the way through the 2 tracks and stuff that are really like just passable by snowmobile, got his truck stuck, then heard me coming a few minutes later, you know, however many minutes later on the freaking snowmobile. Assuming I was coming to retaliate, he took off running for his life, got his ass stuck behind this log, like post-holed his foot, twisted his foot around, got it keyholed, couldn't get his foot out the snow. So I walk up on this guy and he just goes, oh man, don't shoot. Never mind the fact I had the shotgun slung over my shoulder, both hands free. This guy thought I was coming to fucking shoot him because he had just got done basically, you know, with a little bit of Dutch courage in him. He had just got done popping off some rounds based on our 2 previous interactions. He didn't like me very much. Popped off a whole bunch of rounds as a good old fuck you, took off running, got his ass stuck, and then lo and behold, who comes down the trail? Me. Well, you know how I confirmed all that? Because this morning the skid marks are clear as shit. There's pictures on my trail camera of him doing half of it with in his freaking truck. And when I go and look through the window of his truck, because it's still there, he's not, but his truck is still there, there's a box of 9mm ammo sitting in his freaking bed, and there's an expended shell casing sitting on that little mini dash where your clock is on most vehicles. And I let the guy go by saying, not only am I not going to call the cops on you, I'll help you get unstuck in the morning. And he thought I was coming to shoot him in the freaking chest. I couldn't make this shit up if I tried, guys. Story from the Woods, Volume 1.